New information this hour about the mid-air collision between a passenger plane and an Army helicopter. An FAA preliminary report reveals one air traffic controller was working two positions at the time of the crash. The plane carried 64 passengers and crew, while 3 soldiers were on the chopper. At least 28 bodies have been recovered. Also, the airplane's black boxes. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating. President Trump sparking outrage today by linking the air disaster to the federal diversity hiring programs.
I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers.
Hours later, President Trump signed an order reviewing all federal aviation hiring and safety decisions.
Joining us now to discuss all of this is Jody Armour, a law professor at the University of Southern California. Good to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
What makes the president's remarks today controversial?
Well, the controversy is the connection between DEI, someone from an underrepresented group or a woman, and the claim that they are not excellent. They are underqualified or unqualified, and the belief without any evidence, without any receipts, that for one thing, it was a controller that was the cause of the accident rather than someone in the helicopter. So before we've even figured out who the cause is, if you're going to blame a DEI in the air traffic controller department, how can they be to blame if the accident was caused by the helicopter? So we're leaping ahead of the story to go into some other kind of narrative that may not be even relevant. And that's what I think a lot of people are concerned about.
So we are new into this second presidency of President Trump. People knew what they were voting for. They knew that. They know that. He held this news conference at first starting out with a moment of silence for those who've lost their lives. The recovery efforts were still going on. What do you make of the timing of the president to then talk political issues?
Yeah, that was very presidential, unifying, to stand there and have us take that moment of silence and think about how these country folk of ours, you know, are no longer with us. And to go from that moment of unity, of solidarity, of bringing us nationally together to something, one of the most divisive kinds of issues without any evidence that, again, the DEI was even involved in this, because we don't know that a controller was at the cause of it. So to introduce something so polarizing right after the call for unity was incongruous.
Well, you had the vice president also speak on that matter as well, and also Hegseth also spoke, so he had his administration backing him up. Let's listen into that.
When you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means on the one hand you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand it puts stresses on the people who are already there. And I think that is a core part of what President Trump is going to bring and has already brought to Washington, D.C. is we want to hire the best people because we want the best people at air traffic control.
So what do you make of the stance the president and team are trying to take on this very day?
Yeah. If I actually believe that unqualified people, because of a program like DEI or any other program, were getting in positions that they weren't ready for, I would be outraged too. We all should be outraged. The question is, are unqualified people coming in through that gateway? And I've talked to a lot of managers. They say, we start with excellence. Unless you cross a threshold of excellence, we don't even consider you. Once you've crossed that threshold of excellence, we may consider factors like maybe you're from the southeast of the country and we're trying to get that perspective because we're dealing with people from there. You know, but if you haven't crossed the threshold of excellence, you're not in the conversation. That's what good DEI is supposed to be, not just automatically allowing unqualified people. I would be outraged too, so we got to get clear on what we mean by DEI.
So do you agree or disagree then what you just heard from the vice president about hiring the best people?
Yeah, there's no contradiction between excellence and diversity, between excellence and having a woman on the job or a minority on the job. They can be excellent, no reason to assume they're not.
As we're going forward in a brand new year here, brand new presidency, overall, what are you seeing with this president that Americans can expect for this term?
Well, this was a day of unity, you know, a kind of going both ways, some positive, you know, calling for unity, and then something very divisive. So there'll probably be moments of grace and moments of turmoil like this.
Politically speaking, what's the strategy behind this?
Well, this is one of the issues that he ran on, that, underrepresented groups are trying to get into these positions and they don't have the qualifications, and I'm going to end that. So the real question always is, and debate should be, do they have the qualifications? Unqualified people should not be getting in these positions. He's right. Are these programs letting unqualified people in? Not the ones I've been connected with, but if there are some, root them out.
Right.
Well, you had the former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg really take issue with the president's words. All right, Jody Armour, USC professor, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you for being here.